reports in nearby neighborhoods over the summer. He walked closer and checked the handle. It moved freely. That immediately made him uncomfortable. He carefully locked the noticed something small, but cabinet under the sink was slightly open. Not wide open, just enough to notice. Ryan felt a wave of anxiety. He knew he hadn't opened that cabinet earlier. He had no reason to. He closed it slowly and checked the rest of the house. All windows were locked. Front door was secure. Nothing appeared stolen or disturbed. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. That night, he decided not to go back to sleep immediately. He stayed in the living room with the lights on, watching security camera footage from earlier in the evening. At around 1:39 a.m., the camera showed a slight movement near the back door. The handle shifted, just slightly. There was no clear image of a person, but the motion was visible. It only captured the brief movement of the door handle. Ryan felt uneasy watching it. The timing matched exactly when he had heard the cabinet sound. The next morning, he checked outside the house carefully. He didn't find footprints or damage, but near the back door, he noticed faint smudges on the glass panel, as if someone had placed their hand there briefly. Nothing was officially reported to police, since there was no forced entry or stolen items. But Ryan shared the experience later online, explaining that the incident changed how he felt about staying home alone. Before that weekend, he thought home was the safest place. After that night, he always double-checked every lock, sometimes more than once. He admitted that nothing extreme happened, but the uncertainty was what stayed with him, not knowing if someone had tried to enter. Just the quiet realization that during those early morning hours, he might not have been completely alone. Samantha tried to convince herself it was the sound of the house settling. She had heard that explanation before from friends, but then came another sound, a faint vibration. either. Samantha was almost certain she had locked it earlier that evening. After taking out trash, she remembered checking it twice. The officers at night, she never ignored small sounds again. Because sometimes, what seems like a normal house noise can turn into something that feels very different in the middle of the night. And even though nothing dangerous was found, the memory of those footsteps above her ceiling still made her uncomfortable whenever she was home alone. Animal triggered it, or maybe the sensor was overly sensitive. Still, he felt a slight discomfort. He decided to check the backyard through the side window. Adjusted slightly. Daniel immediately stood up and grabbed his phone. He turned on the hallway lights and slowly walked toward the living room. The house was as if it hadn't been secured properly. Daniel was confident he had locked it earlier that evening. He remembered checking because he often double-checked doors before going to sleep. He looked outside again. The backyard was empty. He decided not to go outside alone at that hour. Instead, he called a nearby friend and explained the situation. His friend advised him to contact local authorities To be safe, police arrived within 20 minutes. They inspected the property, including the backyard fence and surrounding area. They found no signs of forced entry. The fence had no damage. The doors and windows showed no break-in marks. However, near the patio area, officers noticed faint impressions in the soil close to the fence. The prints were not deep enough to identify clearly, and due to the weather conditions, they couldn't determine much from them. No one was found on the property. Daniel later reviewed his own home security footage. The camera facing the backyard showed the motion light activating around 27 a.m. The video quality was not clear enough to show a person, but it captured movement near the fence line. Nothing entered the house. No items were stolen. The police concluded that there was no confirmed intrusion, though they advised Daniel to consider upgrading his locks and possibly improving outdoor lighting. In the following days, Daniel installed additional security measures, including a better camera system and reinforced sliding door locks. He mentioned in an online post that the experience made him more aware of how quickly a normal night can feel different. What stayed with him wasn't a dramatic event. It was the quiet uncertainty, seeing movement outside, hearing small sounds inside, and realizing how vulnerable a house can feel when you are alone. Daniel said that since that night, he never ignored motion sensor alerts again, even if it turned out to be nothing. He preferred to check every time, because sometimes the smallest detail, a light turning on, a door slightly misaligned, a shadow near a fence, can change how safe a house feels. And for him, January 18, 2022, became the night he understood that being alone doesn't always mean nothing is happening around you.